It's really the community what keeps me a lot of, into InfoSec things in general. I mean, I don't need to tell you this. I mean, you're obviously part of the community. You have the podcast we made at BSides Las Vegas, but for other, listeners perhaps that they're barely getting into InfoSec, the InfoSec community is very special in regards to certain aspects. It's very welcoming. There's a ton of knowledge sharing. There are a lot of people willing to give you a hand, not expecting anything in return. And I don't have a lot of experience in other, tech or just general communities or industries, but from what I hear, that's pretty particular about the InfoSec community that you don't find very often in many other communities or industries. So that's really one of the main things that kept me in InfoSec.
Hey, this is Dave Johnson.
And I'm Tyler Zito.
Welcome to the Job Security Podcast. We're here to explore the unique perspectives and stories of the people who make this industry what it is, whether they realize it or not. On any given year, there are thousands of cybersecurity conferences and social events, and figuring out which events to plan your year around can be daunting. InfoSecMap is here to change that and make it a whole lot easier to know what's happening around the industry. We're here with Martín Villalba, the founder of InfoSecMap.com, to understand more about this tremendous undertaking for the community. Martín is an application and product security consultant with over 15 years of industry experience. He founded C13 Security, where he specializes in secure SDLC, pen testing, and vulnerability management. He's an active member of the InfoSec community, collaborating with local groups and global organizations such as BSides and OWASP. He also built InfoSecMap, an open access platform for discovering InfoSec events and communities from all around the world. Martín, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So I stumbled across your website, and then I stumbled across you, which is just a matter of kismet at BSides Las Vegas earlier this year. And so I had actually noticed you putting out a sticker for InfoSecMaps, map.com, recognized it, and I was like, oh, hey, I want one of those. And it turned out you created it. And I just want to preface this by saying I have seen other attempts at trying to map out what is happening within the industry before. I also tried to create something similar a long time ago, specifically leveraging something similar to the Airbnb model called Hacker Hostel, which was supposed to try and help people who were traveling a lot find places to stay short term a lot easier. That never took off the ground, but it was an interesting concept. But you've actually done it. On your website, you have a carefully cultivated list of things that are going on. It's easily searchable. And not only do you have the events themselves, but you also have the call for papers, the call for sponsors, the social events. There's just a tremendous amount of information there. And I'd love to start with how you started this. Where did this come from? Obviously you recognized the need, but what drove you to create this?
I simply got tired of wasting a lot of time searching online, or I guess spending a lot of time and finding only a handful of events and still missing a lot. It would happen to me and a lot of other people. I came to find out later on that you may go, you may make an expensive and time-consuming trip from one coast to the other one in the US for a nice conference, and then come back just to find out that if you had stayed an extra day, you could have joined some cool local meetup where, maybe like 50, 100 or 150 people were going, and you would have totally stayed. You just didn't know. Or sometimes when I was traveling as well, like, for example, in Europe, many times I remember thinking that I would have loved to connect with the local InfoSec community there, join some meetups, maybe, give a little presentation here and there. And it was just too time consuming most of the time. But also, even if you spend a lot of time searching, again, there are things that you wouldn't find because they're not well published and promoted. The information is just too scattered all over the place. Different websites, some chat applications, Discord servers, it's just impossible to keep up with everything. So I dealt with that situation many times, missed really cool events I would have loved to join. And then at some point, I just got tired of it. And, I decided I would give it a try.
So not everybody thinks like that, though. Some people, myself included, kind of look at this problem as just a thing you have to deal with. And you actually took that frustration and turned it into something positive. I mean, when I first got into this, there were only about 3 cybersecurity conferences worldwide. There wasn't that much. And now there's thousands. So keeping track of that, to me, sounds like a full-time job. Can you delve into how InfoSecMap.com functions? Do you have people doing this full time? Is this something that you're somehow able to do just by virtue of how you're spending your free time? How is this put together?
It's a combination of most of the things you mentioned, actually. So obviously this started as a little side project back in 2020, actually, when we were maybe 2-3 months into the pandemic. I remember thinking, what am I going to do with all this time at home so I don't look back 6, 9, 12 months from now and I wasted all my time watching Netflix? That's exactly what I thought. And I remember about this idea I had for years and thought, this seems like the right project to work on throughout this time, thinking that maybe the pandemic was going to be like 3-6 months, ended up being, a little longer than that. But that's really when I started. And I had also just started my own company early 2020, C13 Security. So I had some ups and downs in terms of time and commitment I could put into the project throughout 2020, a little part of 2021. But by 2021, I had delved into the project enough to know there's no way I can maintain this on my own. Even if I worked full time trying to handle all this amount of data, it's impossible for one person. So I started putting together a team between the end of 2020 and maybe the end of 2021, so about a year. Continued working on the project, developing the idea, proof of concept, but also working on trying to get the right people on board. So, fast forward, and today we have 6-7 people on the team, half of us full-time, half part-time. And that's really what it takes to keep this moving. It's not only about handling this vast amount of data, but there are obviously many other things that we need to do to keep this going, and not only keep it going, but actually make it grow. The reaching out to organizers, doing promotion. You'd be surprised how many people still don't know about the project. People that have been in InfoSec for a long time, they attend conferences, they may even be speakers, and they haven't heard about InfoSecMap. We did have some major growth recently, which I'm very excited about. So it took us a long time to see pretty good growth. It was always constant, but the first couple of years, it was very slow. Pretty opposite to what I had thought at the very beginning, which was this tool is so needed, it's going to be awesome, and we'll make it awesome, and we will have it be free and open access for everyone. It's going to be more than anything else a community project, which it still is, and that's the main idea behind it. So I thought, why would anyone in InfoSec not use it and not share it with everyone they know, friends and colleagues in InfoSec? And it just didn't happen. It really didn't happen a lot until recently. So I think we were about 2 years into the project, and we would have a few thousand unique visits a month. Let's say 5, 6, 7, which I didn't think it was enough. I thought, again, because I thought the tool was so needed, I figured give it 6 months and it's going to be all over the place. Like everyone in InfoSec is going to be using it. Like I still cannot find any reason why anyone would not want to use it. Free and, pretty decently organized, good information. Why not?
I think decent is an understatement. This is extremely searchable. And so the way it's laid out, I can look at everything that's on your list. I can also say, hey, I'm going to be here this weekend. What's going on? And see exactly what events are going on in that place. A bunch of my friends have been talking about going to CornCon. They're headed there this weekend. And honestly, the conversation, when one person finally said, hey, are you going to CornCon? And 5 other people responded, I was like, I've never heard of CornCon. Turns out it's been going on for years. So I've been in this a while, and there's still conferences I have no idea about. And it's really cool to take a look through your list and learn about them. This is, if you had said this is entirely just me in my spare time, I would have been extraordinarily impressed. I'm still impressed the fact that you had the wherewithal to say, I don't want to burn myself out. I'm going to need help. This is well cultivated.
I'd like to just share some metrics of what the amount of users we're getting. I would say that we got some constant growth from the very beginning, but it was very slow. And it was not only until 2 months ago that we finally crossed the 10,000 unique visits a month, which is, about 10,000 people, different people, browsing the platform in a given month. So we obviously got really excited about it. We were close to crossing that line for many months until we finally did. So we celebrated and, kept going. I personally did some decent promotion during Hacker Summer Camp, BSides Las Vegas. Before that, the Diana Initiative, and then at DEF CON, I presented at some of the spaces and villages, La Villa Hacker, the one in Spanish, and also the OWASP community space. So I partnered with both of them. I had a space, part of the space there for InfoSecMap, and then did some presentations, etc. So it was good. I was definitely more than I had done before in terms of promotion in person. And I think that helped. But also I think we're seeing this big jump that I thought we were going to have earlier on. So it took a little longer, a lot longer actually than I had initially planned. But we went from those 10,000 unique visits that we just passed 2 months ago to about 23,000 visits that we're seeing today, unique visits per month, right? So it was basically 120 or 130% growth in the last 2 months. So we're seeing that jump finally. So I'm super excited about it. I knew it was going to happen at some point, but again, I thought it was going to happen way earlier in our project, but here we are. So super excited about it.
That's tremendous. So now you mentioned some in-person promotion. What do you think really helped you get over that hump to double that or triple that in percentage? Was it like partnering with specific marketing firms? Was it a tool? Was it just luck and timing?
I'm glad you asked that question, because then it's a good segue for me to highlight that all of our visits are 100% organic. We've never spent a single penny on any paid promotion. Like, we haven't partnered with any agencies or anything like that. Everything is, from within the community, our own efforts, little social media, a lot of, I guess these days, a lot more word of mouth. One thing that I know it's helped, because people have mentioned that to me, is our official partnership with the OWASP Foundation. I think there's many benefits to that. An obvious one is the promotion that they can support us with through their social media channels and newsletters and whatnot. So I work very closely with Star Brown from the OWASP Foundation. Shout out to her. And we have this partnership going on. We've had it for maybe half a year now. So the promotion they do on their end helps a lot. But it also, this partnership, this kind of partnerships in general, also gives credibility to the project, right? It's different to be on your own than to have the OWASP Foundation backing you up like we do now. And this is not only coming from the fact that the foundation and in particular Star, she recognized the value of the project and what we're doing, but it also goes back to my almost 10 years of volunteering for the OWASP Foundation. I started doing a lot of volunteering for some conferences around 2015 or so, maybe 16. So I did that a couple of years. I took over the Santa Barbara OWASP chapter in 2018 as a new leader at the time. Been leading the chapter since then. I became really involved or helping organize OWASP AppSec California. When we had it, unfortunately, it hasn't come back just yet after the pandemic, but I was one of the key organizers for that conference in 2019 and 2020. So overall, obviously that helped in terms of when we were discussing this partnership, can we trust this guy or not? Can we trust Martin? I think we can. He's proven himself for almost 10 years with the foundation. And we also have a lot of other partnerships with many other organizers around the world. We have an established partnership program, and we partner quite a bit with BSides. Security BSides in general at a global level, and then with each of the local organizers as well. So yeah, that's I think all of that put together, and then also the real need for a tool or a platform like this one.
So what's the best way for somebody to partner with you?
It depends on what they want to do. We're still small enough that we can have a ton of flexibility and in what the partnerships look like. Most of our partnerships revolve around cross promotion and cross support. So with many of the organizers, they add us as a community partner or a community sponsor to their website, and they'll do some mentions about InfoSecMap throughout the conference. Maybe I'd send them flyers and stickers to give around, at the conference, in their conference bags or something. And then in return, we give some extra support to their needs. For example, if they are struggling with their call for papers, they are not getting enough submissions, then when we do our monthly call for papers post in social media, we'll highlight theirs instead of some other one or no one's. Things like that. We, as you mentioned, we're also tracking call for sponsors, call for volunteers. So if they're struggling in any of those areas, we can for sure give them a little push there, some extra support. And yeah, we're open to ideas as well. We've done ticket raffles for extra promotion. It's a benefit for the community because then people can participate, hopefully score a free ticket. And for the organizers, sometimes it ends up being quite a bit of extra promotion, for just a couple, spare tickets.
Yeah, I definitely saw the marketing support potential in a couple of different venues here. For my own marketing team, I took the call for sponsors and page, and I sent this to them, and I'm like, hey, if you're looking for grassroots ways to spend your marketing dollar and to do something that's of public good to the community, this is basically a phone book of places to go and do that. So, for any marketing companies out there, any marketing teams in cybersecurity, go take a look at the call for sponsors page and see if any of those align to your target audience and the type of organizations you want to support, and go right ahead and contact them. It's extraordinarily easy to find them through InfoSecMap.com. And so that should save you a bit of time rather than having to track down and keep track of where all of these events are. And even just knowing where the events are in general allows organizations of the marketing type to be able to know what's happening in their own neck of the woods as well, and create opportunities there.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you mentioned earlier, the power is in the filters, right? Because when you're looking for open call for sponsors, then you can also apply all the other filters, dates or regions, even all the way down to topics. What are the main topics of these events? So if a company has, let's say, an AppSec product, okay, let me filter for call for sponsors, specifically from upcoming conferences that have a major focus on AppSec. So that's I think it's pretty valuable for a marketing team versus just Googling and getting a lot of results that may not be very relevant for them.
In past events too, that data has quite a bit of value too for mining and making reference to. I have a question. So obviously you care about conferences and events, and you're passionate about that. What was your first cybersecurity conference? Where did that passion kind of kick off?
Good question. The first one, at least the first one I remember, is it was a NOWASP conference 2013, I believe, in New York. It must have been their Global AppSec USA in New York, 2013. So I think that's where it started for me. I had probably joined some smaller events before that, but that's the one that's coming, top of mind as a first, big impression with a cybersecurity or InfoSec conference.
So what was that like? As you mentioned, it left a big impact, a big impression. So can you tell us more about that? Was there something you saw, an interaction with another person that you had that really stuck this in your mind as something that you wanted to continue doing?
I think it's really the community what keeps me a lot of into InfoSec things in general. I mean, I don't need to tell you this. I mean, you're obviously part of the community. You have the podcast we met at BSides Las Vegas, but for other, listeners perhaps that they're barely getting into InfoSec, the InfoSec community is very special in regards to certain aspects. It's very welcoming. There's a ton of knowledge sharing. There are a lot of people willing to give you a hand, not expecting anything in return. And I don't have a lot of experience in other, tech or just general communities or industries, but from what I hear, that's pretty particular about the InfoSec community that you don't find very often in many other communities or industries. So that's really what one of the main things that kept me in InfoSec. And of course, the technical challenges and, playing CTFs and breaking something and, knowing how to fix it and make it as unbreakable as it can be.
And that's something that I didn't mention earlier. You can see all of the CTFs that are happening as well on your website too. Like that's true. That's a lot. If for anybody who's looking to break into the industry and showcase their talent in something that's tangible, go pick a CTF. There's a ton going on at any given time. There's prizes to be won depending on what they are. And for any educators listening to this podcast as well, there's a lot of options for things that you can put in front of your students and give them some hands-on training within those CTFs too. And they're being operated right now.
Yeah. So that's something that I thought it was important to do when I was thinking, first few ideas about the project, not just track the conferences. There are a couple other websites doing that. I don't think they have the amount of information we have or the, filtering options and or other features that we have, but they definitely had a good list of InfoSec conferences, and these are websites that I respect and that I used a lot in the past. But the CTFs, I mean, I guess there's CTF time as well, and they've been doing an amazing job, and they actually have functionality related to CTFs that we don't have. But I just didn't see, I couldn't find a very comprehensive list of everything in one place. Conferences, CTFs. We have the local meetups too, things that maybe happen, monthly or quarterly. It doesn't really matter how big or small the event is. If it's a legit InfoSec event, we'll list it, even if it is, 5 friends getting to hang out every other Friday to try to do some hack the box machines. That's fine. If they call it a group and it's open for other people to join, we'll list those events. And actually, those these smaller groups or organizing teams are the ones that can benefit the most from the extra promotion and visibility we can provide through the platform, right? It's not that DEF CON or Black Hat need InfoSecMap to be adding their event, which of course we still do. But it's the smaller ones that can have the most benefit, we think.
I am curious though, how do you find these events? That's one of the big challenges, I would imagine.
Everything we add to the platform is manually curated, basically. There's some automation in the middle. We're working on a lot more these days because it's just like we cannot keep growing the team as we continue to add a few more thousands of events each year. But obviously automation always makes sense when you can do it. So we're in that stretch right now, trying to automate a lot of the things that we've been doing manually. But it is that manual work that has helped us achieve this level of accuracy in the information, and also the fact that we update the listings also as a daily task. So we don't end up with any spam. We don't publish any vendor pitches where just a company may be saying, oh, we have this community event, but then it's just a vendor pitch about their product or services. We don't have any of that, let alone have any non-InfoSec, like other websites unfortunately have done in the past. Just adding whatever was trendy at the time, crypto and blockchain, AI these days, they threw everything in there. And that, in my opinion, diminished the value quite a bit for the InfoSec community. I don't want to be seeing all these other events that are non-InfoSec. So yeah, we expect to be adding more than 5,000 listings toward the end of this year, which is mostly events. Most of the groups we have already listed in previous years. So we keep adding their new events. So most of these 5,000 plus listings we'll have by the end of the year are going to be just events, and it's only going to keep growing. Yeah, it's a lot of information, and as you mentioned, of course, yeah, the fact that we list all kinds of events, and I believe we have the biggest list of CTFs right now for people to enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying before the podcast, I was trying to find the total number of cybersecurity conferences happening worldwide. And basically, both Gemini and ChatGPT basically said it's a number. It's maybe a few thousand. But you have the actual metrics. What do you think it actually is at this point? If you could take what you currently know for a fact and maybe make an estimate on top.
It's really hard for me to say because I know we have certain regions very well covered. In particular, all the Americas from Canada and the US all the way down, going through Central America, South America, until the very bottom of Argentina. And then Western Europe, we have pretty good coverage too. So Spain, Italy, Germany, Belgium, etc. There are many regions that we're not covering that well just because we don't have the knowledge or any contacts there that could feed us that information. We obviously keep expanding the reach and engaging with more organizers and finding more things online ourselves, our own team, and adding everything. But we don't, it would be too rough of a guesstimate if I told you that. I can say from what I know so far, it's many thousands of events each year, maybe like 7,000, 10,000, maybe more. But it's definitely not less than that, because we add, close to 5,000 events just this year, only that happened in 2025, or will happen in the next 3 months too.
That makes me so happy. Again, I started with 3, and now with 10,000 events, I could go to a cybersecurity conference every day if I wanted to, if I had the time. The other thing I was curious about, as far as you mentioned how this is curated manually. I would imagine, as everybody else is right now, that you're examining how you can potentially use AI to help with the curation process. Is that something that you're exploring and finding, hey, this is definitely going to be valuable? Or is this, hey, we've tried it and it's really not fitting what we needed to do? What's your experience with that been like, if that's something you're exploring?
Yes, we're in the early stages of exploring that. So I don't have too many, insights just yet. We know we definitely need to start automating as much as we can, and we've made some progress. We've automated about 90% of our testing process for our releases that we do monthly or so. With security patches, WordPress patches, and a couple other things. So we made some good progress there. We didn't need AI to do that. We used some other framework or technology in general. We're definitely exploring how to use AI and any other tools that we're not married to AI, but we know it'll very likely help quite a bit in terms of automating this curation of events and some other tasks like the tagging of events. We set the main topics for each event, and there's a little automation there as well, a little bit of AI. We've been getting mixed results, so it's not something we've been able to standardize just yet, but we've only been playing around with it, for a little while. With some serious time spent on it, I think we'll likely make really good progress and be able to automate quite a bit with AI. It's only at this point that I am personally and we are with the team starting to look at this like, okay, this has grown quite a bit. Why we are way past the proof of concept. Now, what are the things, in order of priority that we need to do to make this succeed in the long term? And automation is one of them, with or without, AI. But there are also many other things that have high priority to make sure this keeps going. For example, we got to duplicate a couple positions. We have a couple of key members, myself included, that if we're gone tomorrow, like the project ceases to exist, and it's grown too much already. It's we got to do that. We have to make it self-sustainable as well, because I've been covering the costs, and more than happy to do it. But there's limited budget that I want to dedicate or can dedicate myself. And if I keep covering it, that's fine. But then when I'm gone, the project is gone, same problem. So basically eliminating single points of failures. And some of these things in my mind have higher priority than this automation. Just because, once again, it's already grown too much to disappear tomorrow, and that's as you mentioned, that's what has happened with other similar projects that maybe they didn't get to this stage, but some projects that were cool, and they were good tools for the community. You use them, I use them, and then they died down, and it's because I don't think they were scaled and supported for the long term. So that's what we're focusing on these days.
The ones I recall were almost entirely community driven. There was like one individual who it seems like was doing the initial cultivation, and then it was mostly, hey, everybody, you should use this to promote your events. And the mileage varied significantly. There weren't people actively working on it and cultivating like you are, which I think is a large portion of the success here. I did have a couple other questions I want to ask. What conferences are you most looking forward to in this, I guess, toward the end of this year and next year? What ones are you really excited about?
I'm going to OWASP AppSec, Global AppSec USA in Washington, D.C. next month. So I'm pretty excited about that. And right before that one, I'll be here in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to attend Echo Party, the biggest local one here in the Southern Hemisphere. So pretty excited about these two, particularly excited about the OWASP one because of our partnership. So we'll be doing some promotion and seeing a lot of, old friends. Once again, shout out to Star Brown and John McCoy, two of my, best OWASP friends and colleagues who have been really, really supportive of the project. And I'm trying to go to more BSides events. The BSides community I'm very fond of in general, and I've had great experiences attending just a handful, really, BSides Las Vegas many times and BSides San Francisco, maybe some other one. But it's just a community that I really enjoy in general. It's almost like the smaller, the better for me these days. And so I'll be trying to join as many as I can. It's only these two that I'm going for sure. The two that I mentioned, Eco Party in Argentina and the OWASP one in Washington, D.C. coming up next month. So yeah, I think those two and whatever else I can get to.
One final question. What is your ideal future state for InfoSecMap.com? Where do you want to get to? What's the end goal here? From you've been building and you've been building on top of things, adding new features and function. If you were to fast forward to tomorrow, whenever this project is effectively exactly where you want it to be, what kinds of things would you envision it would have?
Number one, I would say, is everyone in InfoSec knows about it and is using it. That's really number one goal. It's a community-first project, and I intend to make the impossible to keep it that way. I do want to make it self-sustainable for the reasons that I mentioned earlier. So that's already in the works. We're starting to offer some paid services to some companies that wanted to highlight their upcoming events, as long as they're community-focused events and not about their products or services. It doesn't really matter if it is a company organizing or a group of friends. It's going to be on InfoSecMap and it can be highlighted. I do intend to try to get this money from the companies and not the community. And I think that's already showing by the fact that the site is free and open for everyone. And even listing your own event, like if you have an upcoming event, it doesn't matter if you have a huge budget, it's still free for you. So it's free for everyone. But I do want to make it self-sustainable for the reasons I mentioned earlier. And yeah, just adding more features. There's actually a cool feature that I'm happy to announce probably for the first time right here on your podcast, which is we're going to start tracking podcasts. InfoSec podcasts. So we'll have a new section for InfoSec podcasts where of course, we will have yours and many other ones. And it just came naturally to us that, we should be tracking the podcasts as well, since we're doing groups and events. And even many of these groups that organize some events, they also have their own podcast. So some of the information is already there, but we're going to do some decent tracking of the podcasts. with some good filtering as well, different platforms, audio versus audio and video, things like that. So, and also topics. That's a big one for podcasts, because some of the podcasts tend to be a little more specific. So if you are really into, let's say, cloud security, okay, let me see if I can find a podcast that talks specifically about cloud security. So that's coming up really soon, maybe even by the time this show airs, next couple of weeks. Yeah. So we'll be making the announcement online. And there's a couple other things that are coming up that require quite a bit of work. I won't give any spoilers about these other ones, just in case it takes us much longer than planned to release them. But I think the community will be happy with new features that we'll be offering in the coming months.
Well, I, for one, am looking forward to that. Also, shout out to the Thor Collective Dispatch podcast. We had them on the previous episode, which will be airing shortly. They run a podcast on threat hunting, or thrunting, as they call it. So I'll be sure to send them your way to get on that list and help populate that thing as quick as possible. There is no shortage of good cybersecurity podcasts out there, so I think it should be a quick exercise. But Martín, thank you so much for all the work that you've put into InfoSecMap.com. I am leveraging this in order to plan my travel moving forward. And I hope everybody else listening to this podcast, if you don't know about it previously, you know about it now. Start using it. And next event that you see upcoming or you're part of, make sure that it makes its way to InfoSecMap.com so that other people can find out about it. Post your call for papers, post your CTFs, call for volunteers, and of course, call for sponsorships, all on InfoSecMap.com so they can get the visibility that they need. Again, Martín, thank you for all of this effort and this project, and thank you for being on the Job Security Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Job Security Podcast, sponsored by Expel MDR. This podcast was co-hosted by Dave Johnson and Tyler Zito and was produced by me, Ben Baker. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, please consider giving us a glowing 5-star rating and review on your podcast app of choice. And be sure to follow us on YouTube for more cybersecurity content at youtube.com/@expelsecurity. We'll catch you next time.